the world of Sally Rooney so much that I took a trip all the way to Ireland just to see all the places she writes about. Okay, fine. I went for just vacation reasons too. But I do adore Sally Rooney, and today I'm talking about her debut novel that was recently adapted for television, Conversations with Friends. Conversations with Friends was published in 2017 and was met with immediate critical acclaim, even earning Rooney the Sunday Times' Writer of the Year award. The book is currently rated 3.8 stars on Goodreads and 83% on Google. Along with her second book, Normal People, Conversations with Friends is one of my favorite books of all time, and the first time I read it, I felt seen in the best, worst way possible. Conversations with Friends, the show, was released on Hulu in 2022. The 12 episodes star Alison Oliver, Joe Alwyn, Sasha Lane, and Jemima Kirke. It's rated 6.7 out of 10 on IMDb and 60% on Rotten Tomatoes. This seems low, especially compared to the wildly popular adaptation of Normal People that came out on Hulu in 2020 and is rated 90% on Rotten Tomatoes. So today, I'm taking a look at everything wrong with Conversations with Friends. Conversations with Friends follows 21-year-old Frances, a student living in Dublin who performs spoken word poetry with her ex and best friend, Bobby. One night, they meet an older creative whom they admire, Melissa. As Bobby befriends Melissa, Frances finds herself drawn to Melissa's husband, Nick, and an affair begins. Hi, I'm Belle from Joss and Belle, where we talk about everything pop culture, from books and movies to celebrity trivia and gossip. We post new videos every Tuesday, so make sure you subscribe so you don't miss out. Now, the first issue I have with the show is the focus. And I don't mean the camera. Like Normal People, Conversations with Friends, the show leaves out a lot of Sally Rooney's class politics, which to me is a loss. The show mentions money. Frances is struggling with her alcoholic father who pays for her college and at one point stops paying for her expenses. But the show just doesn't get at the class and power differences between the characters with the same nuance that the book does. But more than that, the show focuses mainly on the affair between Nick and Frances. And I mean, of course, that makes sense. It's a TV show and sex sells. And I'm sure seeing Taylor Swift's boyfriend's bare ass was a big draw for a lot of people. But the affair in the show just feels melodramatic. In comparison, the affair in the book is just one factor of many that pushes Frances into adulthood, into realizing her full personhood on her own terms. The blurb on the 2018 paperback edition even reads, "Wonderfully alive to the pleasures and dangers of youth and the messy edges of female friendship." In fact, in the book, Nick isn't even referenced until page 5, and he remains nameless until page 12. Frances's inner thoughts about what Melissa might think of the affair or what Bobby perceives about Frances as a person because of the affair take much more precedence in the novel than they are given screen time in the show. But that leads me to my next point, chemistry. Bobby and Frances's relationship in the show feels much less urgent and all-consuming than it does in the book, and I think that's because of the poor chemistry they have. Bobby's character in the show is insufferable. In the book, she has the same qualities, and the show even takes some of her dialogue and emails straight from the book word for word. But since the book gives us Frances's tender memories of growing up with Bobby, Frances's admiration of Bobby's physical appearance, it shows us their inside jokes and trying to hold in laughter around people who aren't in on the joke. And so when you read it, you become endeared to Bobby much like Frances is. The show, on the other hand, tries to imitate this emotional intimacy by showing physical love scenes between Frances and Bobby. Don't get me wrong, I would love to cheer on queer sex scenes on screen, but in this case, the use just felt like a cheap substitute for the emotional intimacy that Frances and Bobby have in the book. And that brings me to my last point, which I think is at the heart of all these issues I have with the show. The writing. Even the main affair between Nick and Frances feels stilted. Awkward conversations jumping suddenly into a full-blown affair. In the book, there is the awkwardness and miscommunication, but somehow Rooney conveys that these two awkward people are finding relief with each other. Frances bringing light to Nick's depression, and Nick giving anxious Frances a sense of control over her life. The only explanation I can think of for this is that Sally Rooney wasn't a writer on Conversations with Friends. For the Normal People show, Sally Rooney did executive produce and write episodes. Normal People has incredibly awkward characters too, but it works. Connell and Marianne have electric chemistry. Since the co-writer Alice Beth and director Lenny Abrahamson also worked on both shows, but Sally Rooney only executive produced on Conversations with Friends, I can only blame her absence in the writing room on why Conversations with Friends just isn't as good as Normal People. Overall, I can't recommend this show. It's slow and awkward, and you're just better spending your time reading the book. Let me know what you thought of the show down below, and we'll see you next week.